Hey folks, this is Kalani. One of the major features of the Shadowlands expansion is the new Covenant system. There are 4 leveling zones in Shadowlands and each of them is controlled by a powerful Covenant. We'll join up with these potential friends temporarily as we level up, and then at max level we make a choice to join one Covenant over the others. The plan is to make switching that Covenant kind of difficult or time consuming, so this choice will definitely matter. Covenants provide you with new spells and abilities, sanctums, which sound kind of like class halls but we're not too sure, soul binds, which further power up your character, and a whole bunch of cosmetic options like unique armor sets accessible only to each Covenant. I want to take a closer look at the armor sets in this video. We have every armor class for all 4 Covenants, so what are we waiting for? Let's see just how awesome these special armor sets can look. If you want to skip around or just want to look at a specific Covenant first, you can find timestamps in the comments section below. Before we get stuck in, if you weren't aware, we are streaming over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We're having a blast in the alpha, so you should pop by and say hi sometime. First up, we have the Bastion Covenant, the Kyrian. This is all about blues, silvers, whites and golds. The zone is beautiful, so I expect the armor to follow suit. Now, as well as having an armor set for each armor class, so one for cloth, leather, mail and plate, there are also 3 different tiers or types of Cloak Transmog available to each Covenant. Some of these look amazing, so I'm going to start by checking out the wings, then seeing what each armor type looks like with each type of wing or cloak. This is one of the Kyrian Cloak Transmogs, a large golden circle with a blue stained glass effect. Very cool indeed, and this will just take up your cloak slot, so it's super easy to turn off and on. The second Cloak Transmog we have for the Kyrian totally draws from the Arbiter NPC that you'll meet sometime in your adventures through Bastion. It's huge, it's golden, it looks kind of like sun rays spreading from a central point. If you play paladins or priests, these will probably look amazing with some of your sets. And the last one we have is just straight up a pair of gold and white wings. When we first started seeing new Cloak Transmog options, I was holding out for some awesome wing models, and these look fantastic. Again, perfect to match up with the Kyrian sets or Holy based sets. So you're going to see each set 3 times, one with each cloak attached. Here's the cloth set with the first Cloak Transmog. The cloaks will hopefully fit in seamlessly with all of the colours, but you can see blues, goldens, silvers and whites. That's what makes up the Kyrian armor sets, and it looks pretty amazing, right? This stuff looks like it was made for priests, so I think your Covenant choice is going to depend a lot on what class you want to play and how you want to play it. If you want a holy looking mage, Kyrian is going to suit that look quite well. If we swap to the second cloak, you can see the shoulder pads for cloth match quite nicely. The colour is a tiny bit off on these pictures, hopefully they do match better when the game goes live, but seeing the repeating themes is definitely a nice touch. The cloth set looks like a battle robe, lots of robe but lots of metal pieces for that added protection as well. I think the Wings Cloak Transmog really sets this off though. Doesn't that just look fantastic? I think this might end up being the default cloak choice for a lot of players that go Kyrian. The other 2 cloaks are nice, but this one makes the set, in my opinion. Overall, I think the cloth set looks great and will suit priests perfectly. Maybe not the warlocks though. Let's move on to the leather. I'm a bit torn on this one, honestly. On one hand, I think it looks pretty cool, but on the other hand, it's also quite busy, and the shoulders and helm don't quite match the rest of the set. I'm getting a bit of an Atlantean vibe, like the armor the Atlantis soldiers used in Aquaman or something. The claws on the gloves and feet, the little fin things on the boots. I also like the heavyset jewels in the chest, shoulders and gloves. Here's the set with the next Cloak Transmog. I definitely don't think this matches as well as the cloth set, but they're not all going to fit every armor set. I really like the silver and grey throughout the set, maybe that's why the shoulders stick out to me. They're mostly just using the gold. Let's pop the wings on and see how they look. I still think this looks the best out of the 3 combinations. If I were to play a leather character as a Kyrian, I think I might turn off the helm and shoulders or use something else. The rest of the set looks great, but I can't get past the 2 top pieces. I also don't think the set really fits any leather wearers when it comes down to class fantasy, so that might also be another block. I think it's an okay set, but the cloth set is quite a bit better in my opinion. Mail is up next, and you should be able to tell that this set draws from one thing in particular, the wings of the Kyrian, and of course the stewards that serve them. Now sadly we don't have a preview of this set with the Cloak Transmog attached, which is a bit disappointing. I guess the mail set isn't fully accessible in the files or something, but I think they did a great job with this one. Mail sets have always been in that really annoying in-between spot. They either look a lot like leather or a lot like plate, and any attempt to draw a balance usually ends up looking kind of rough. The feathered mail on the underneath looks good. I think the hands and boots might be a bit heavy set for my liking, but the shoulders and leg adornments look really cool. It's obviously a Kyrian set too, so if you choose to wrap this covenant on your hunter or shaman, everyone will know who you chose. I think it's a hunter set more than a shaman set, but that might just be me. The plate set will no doubt have the paladins out there super excited. I think the paladins and priests fit the call of the Kyrian better than anyone. Look at those shoulder pads too. If you've ever wanted some holy plate armor, look no further. It's a chunky set for sure, no doubts about this being heavy plate, and the theme follows through very nicely. Blue glows in the shoulders and helm, blue gems in the waist and legs, silver and gold everywhere, not to mention the spikes. I think this is another set that's going to look great no matter which Cloak Transmog you pick. The edges and angles of the second cloak are a teeny bit out of place, but not by much. It would be awesome if you could upgrade the cloak to glow a bit of that awesome blue too. Though this might be the first set that doesn't immediately suit the wings perfectly, maybe because they clip through the huge shoulder pads. They still look great, but I think the first cloak option might actually be my favourite for the plate set. No matter which cloak you pick, your platey is going to look amazing in Kyrian armour, but everyone will think they're a paladin even if you're not. Each of these sets does have a few colour variations right now, so I'll pop those up on the screen for you to have a look at as well. We're not sure where the extra colours will come from, who will be able to use them, whether you need to be in the Covenant or not. Actually, we have no real info whatsoever about how to actually get these armor sets. Almost nothing of the Covenant system is available for testing, and the parts that are simply aren't finished at all. Until the dev team wants to specifically test Covenants, like they're testing each zone in turn and enabled Torghast specifically for testing, we won't be able to answer any meaningful questions. But keep an eye out on the alpha updates. The Covenant systems will come through eventually, and then we'll find out exactly how to get these armor sets and the various different tints available. Maldraxxus is the second zone you will visit, so let's check out the Necro Lord's armor sets next. I'm sure the Death Knights and Warlocks will get a kick out of these sets. The Cloak Transmog comes first though. We have a big bone shield strapped to your back for the first one, with a little bone flag to top it all off. You can see why they call themselves the Necro Lords. The next one is just a massive pair of bone wings. I mean, can we really say any more here? I think it's safe to say they're taking some inspiration from Diablo 3 and just how popular the different wings were in that game. If it worked in Diablo, why wouldn't it work in WoW? Especially when we have the Covenant themes to pull from too. These wings will also let you run around pretending to be Kerrigan from StarCraft if that's something you were ever interested in. Very cool indeed. And the last one is a huge honking soul crystal just happily strapped to your back. It looks like the crystal that Illidan's soul was imprisoned in for all those years, and it should fit perfectly on the back of any warlock, wouldn't you agree? But that's only one piece of the puzzle. Let's see how they fit alongside the cloth set, and what a cloth set this is. As you can expect from the Necrolords, bones, bones, and more bones. They're everywhere, but they work incredibly well. These sets are going to be creepy ones for sure. There's the same green soul shards poking out of the shoulders, and bone tendrils just crawling down the arms. The bone shield cloak doesn't really set the whole thing off, but I'm sure the other cloaks will look amazing. I feel like the Bone Wings might be the go-to for a lot of Necro Lords just because of how cool they are and how they could match a variety of different looks. They do fit quite well alongside the rest of the bone armor, don't they? I can't help but feel like the dev team had Warlock in mind for pretty much the entire time they were making this set. You even have the same kind of Warlock horns on the headpiece. It's no wonder then that the last cloak, the huge green soul shard, fits perfectly in this set. It probably helps that it has the same green gem colour in the shoulders and the other jewels in the armour, but doesn't that look awesome? It's kind of just floating there surrounded by bones. It does look quite chunky in the profile, but I think players are going to enjoy this combination in particular. Onto the leather set, this one is just plain gross. If you ever wanted to be a Geist or something of an abomination on your leather wearer, you know where to go to make that happen. Stitched together skin, ooze dripping out all over the place, skeletal fingers and toes, and of course a gnarly arm just reaching out of the shoulder pad. Delicious. This might be one of the nastiest sets we've had in a while, which makes it pretty fantastic. I'm not sure the Cloak Transmog works all too well alongside it though. The bone wings aren't too bad. I don't think they really fit either, but they still bring something to the look. I don't really know if I'd want any of my leather wearers actually wearing this set, but you can be sure I'll stop and stare for a little bit if I ever see anyone running around with it. I guess undead rogues will probably go for this kind of thing more than anyone else. The last cloak option still looks really cool, but again, I don't think it fits the overall leather theme here. That's not always a bad thing though. You don't have to wear a soul shard or big bone wings to show everyone around town who the real Geist is. This set is just patched together in such a horrific way. I really need to know, do any of you leather wearers actually want to wear this? And on what class? Or will you just admire it from afar like I will? Next up we have the male set. This one is quite striking right from the get-go, isn't it? Very bold from the front, though it looks a bit sparse from the back. I'm typically not a fan of the one shoulder approach, and even though that huge shoulder pad looks pretty intense, I still don't think it's worth making the other side look completely bare. The helm is amazing though, that's super cool, and I'm sure the Death Knights will be a little jealous that they can't use it. The skull shield fits in well enough, but the other two will likely look better. The bone wings look awesome as per usual, though I don't think they fit in all too perfectly. The bone on the armor is a different colour and type. I feel like the wings do help to offset the imbalance created by that one shoulder pad though. I do love that blue-green glow coming from the eyes on the set too. One pair in the helm, one pair in the shoulder, and one on your belt. That ties the set together quite nicely. And that green glow kind of matches the Soul Shard Cloak Transmog. It's almost there, at a push, maybe. I think this could actually be an awesome Shaman set, a Death Shaman, wearing the bones of their enemies, capturing their souls in a shard. The boots are a bit spiky for my tastes. It makes them look absolutely huge, but apart from that, I think this is a pretty decent male set. Better than what we've seen in the past for sure, if only it had two shoulder pads. And last but not least, we have the plate set for Necrolords. If you wanted bones, here are your bones. If you want an awesome Death Knight set or a Dark Warrior or even an Unholy Paladin set, this one is for you. Bones on the shoulders, bones down the chest, bone spikes on the boots and as armor trim, and of course massive bone horns for your headpiece. That's a pretty scary visage too. A perfect fit for the Necrolords. The bone shield actually fits in quite well here. Though I think the bone wings will once again win out. Hopefully they won't cover up too much of that creepy glow, which reminds me of Born Samedi especially. It looks like the same wispy blue-green smoke that follows the lower of death around. I hope a lot of these Covenant armor sets have some crazy special effects that we haven't seen yet too, though I do wonder if we gain access to these sets early on, how many players will just wear this through their entire Shadowlands adventure. The Soul Shard Cloak fits quite well as well, though I'm not sure why we lost our gloves for this preview. That kind of throws the whole look off, but fear not. I'm sure when you get this set on your Death Knight, you won't be missing your gloves. The only complaint I would have about this set is that it looks like kind of a bone onesie, and it kind of makes a human look fat. But if you're looking for dark and dreary, the Necrolords will have you covered for sure. Our next stop in the leveling adventure would be Ardenweald, where we meet the Night Fae, so let's go with that next. This is for sure where my druid will end up, no questions asked, and it's not just because of the theme. The armor sets look amazing too. This is the first Cloak Transmog on offer. Twig wings! It's like a little nature offering totem or something, and it fits some of the sets very well. The second cloak is like a nature backpack, probably made from roots or branches, and it's glowing with something potent. Probably anima. It also comes with two cute little moth things that twitch their wings every now and then. If you like blues and purples, this is definitely one for you. And the last one is a proper backpack. Lots of little pockets and satchels attached to a large pack with a wooden frame and some lanterns to boot. It kind of looks like a beetle shell, doesn't it? This might be the most well-executed Cloak Transmog out of the lot, honestly. There's even a rolled-up sleeping bag for those wild nights outdoors. But let's see how it all matches up with the sets. This is the Cloth Ardenweald set. The themes seem to be nature, leaves, and bugs. The helm is like leaves wrapping around your face with some glowing antennas reaching up to the sky. As a robe in general, I think this looks amazing, though I think you might have to get past some of your class fantasy to run around in this one. The twig wings look pretty good, but don't really set anything off for me. I can't help but think druid when I see all of these sets. Really, but if you love the set, there's no reason you can't use it as a mage or warlock. Warlocks like little moth bug things, right? Where the twig wings didn't add too much, I think the bug backpack adds a nice pop of colour, and it fits in with pretty much the entire set. The larger pack looks great too, even though it looks like it does clip into the shoulders quite a bit. I love how the leaves drape over the back of the shoulder pads though, that's a really nice touch. I think the bare arms also help to break up the set, which is something the Necro Lord sets had a bit of a problem with. Let's check out the leather set next. The first two versions are on a Zandalari, which I guess is a better fit, seeing as this is obviously the Druid set. I think they did a great job with this one, and the behind the head branchy bit works well as a helm piece. The shoulders look awesome too, though I think the first Cloak Transmog causes the look to become a bit busy. Let's swap over to one of the other cloaks. I think that looks much better. Less clutter around the shoulders and head allow you to actually see the set a bit more. The colours on the back piece work well with everything else too, so it all flows. This probably won't get too much attention from the rogues or monks or demon hunters, but I think for the druids it's going to be a great fit. They obviously had druid in mind when making this set. The last backpack fits in nicely too, though the branches at the top with the lanterns, that part gets in the way just a bit. I'm not sure why they had to go back for a human for the last preview here, but I guess you still get the general idea of what the set is trying to go for. The colours are great, the adornments work well, and I think a lot of druids would be very happy with this set, though the whole can't see armour in forms thing might make that a bit of a moot point. Thankfully, you do have some options as far as pants go, or more likely the chest. I think the robe looks great, but having more options is always nice. So if you want to show off those legs and the branchy boots that come with the set, you can also choose to cut off the skirt of your robe and just wear a tunic instead. Alright, onwards to the male set. We have more of the same blues and more of the same feathers. This one ended up looking a bit boring, though the helm is obviously missing. That might be the part to tie it all together. It looks like this armour is made from the shells of some of the beetles or bugs that we've seen in the model data mining. I think it's a nice set overall, it just doesn't have too much pizzazz. The twig wings don't bring too much to the table here either. This might be the first one where I think the bug pack doesn't fit incredibly well either. It doesn't look too out of place, but without the helm, I don't think we can ever really get the full picture here. The male set also looks pretty rugged. It's not as elegant as flowing as the cloth or leather set, so maybe that's why the little bugs don't seem to match that well for me. The larger backpack is the best suited Cloak Transmog in my opinion, maybe because this chap looks absolutely ready for an adventure in the Ardenweald wilds, or maybe because it just doesn't clash as much with the overall look. If I were playing a male wearer and using this set, I would definitely go for the bigger backpack. From the looks of this though, I wouldn't choose Ardenweald on my hunter or shaman. And then we have the plate set. I think this looks fantastic. I don't think I could have come up with a better plate set for the Ardenweald theme. If you ever want to run around shouting "I am Groot," you know what you need to do. Play a platey and pick Ardenweald. I love this set. Couple it with some Ardenweald weapons and I think you'll look absolutely amazing. It's just a shame that none of the plate wearers really fit the theme of Ardenweald. Let's pop the other cloaks on to see how they fit. The tangled blue glowy orb in the bug backpack matches the other blue orbs in the set, the chest, the gloves and the shoulders. It's a really cool look and it reminds me a lot of Ori and the Blind Forest. I think no matter what plate wearer you end up choosing for Ardenweald, this set is going to look a bit out of place, but instead of being a death knight, you're now a nature knight, or instead of a bloodthirsty vampire warrior, you're a nature warrior. I don't know, you can find excuses to don this plate if you really want to, but you're going to have to compare it against all the other sets too. This is the last backpack, and again, I think it works very well. Maybe I'm just a sucker for the light blue glows and the overall colour scheme of this one, but I think I like this one better than the Necro Lord's playset. I know, how could I? But this looks like a cohesive set, rather than just bones slapped together. I guess you could argue that it's just bark slapped together, but I still like it. Now, if only my druid could use this set as a bear or something, then I would be 100% happy with it. We do have some extra tints for the Ardenweald set, so I'll pop those on screen for you and rotate through each armor class so you can get a good look. Again, we have no idea where different tints will come from. We often see different tints pop up in data mining, and sometimes they don't get used in game for a very long time. So if you see something that you like that wasn't the base color scheme, keep your fingers crossed that we'll have access to it kind of early, but don't get your hopes up too high. We've seen data mining that hasn't turned up in the game for 2 major patches, or sometimes even longer. We also don't know a great deal about the Covenant system as a whole, so as we get more info about that, I'm sure the tint locations will reveal themselves as well. I think all of these look pretty good and give you a lot of different options for how to approach your Ardenweald nature look. And the final Covenant to look at is the Venthyr of Revendreth. This zone actually just opened up for testing on the alpha and it looks amazing so far. And the Transmog doesn't look like it will disappoint either. Here's the first cloak we have. You don't get much moodier than this right from the get-go. Huge blood-filled lanterns with a massive decorative piece that kind of looks like a headboard, with a massive gargoyle head right smack bang in the middle of it. This is going to look cool no matter what class you're playing. The next one is even crazier. How about 6 huge floating daggers just ready and waiting behind you to slice out at anyone foolish enough to come close? I might still be a bit excited from working through the Revendreth storyline, but I can't help but gush a little bit over these. We've been asking for more Cloak Transmog options for years. I don't know if they could have delivered better than some of these Covenant cloaks, and the Venthyr seem to have some of the coolest options. The last Cloak Transmog is a Sin Stone. You might think this is just some ordinary tombstone, but we learn in the Revendreth story that everyone who ends up in Revendreth gets their very own Sin Stone. It's a tombstone with all of your sins inscribed upon it, as well as your true name. These are very important in the story as a whole, and it looks like you'll be allowed to carry your own stone on your back sometime after joining the Venthyr Covenant. Let's see how they look with some gear sets. This is the cloth set for the Venthyr. Very bold, very intimidating, and just awesome in general. The red glow everywhere shows you they're not really trying to hide the whole vampire thing, and the gargoyle wings fit incredibly well with the gargoyle face on the back piece. I can see the warlocks grinning with joy already. I think this will suit some of the more pretentious mages as well. I mean, your headpiece is a crown. What more could you ask for? Here's the same set with the cloak blades, maybe not the best matchup, and honestly I think the cloth set looks great without any of the cloak pieces at all. You can see the majority of it thanks to these blades hovering away from your back a bit, so no matter what Cloak Transmog you end up with, this set should look fantastic. The Sin Stone is going to be a fashion choice no matter what set you run with, I think. It's so large that you'll miss out on some aspects of your set, but if you want to represent the Venthyr to the highest degree, the Sin Stone is your only option. To carry your Sin Stone and present it so proudly, only those who have mastered their past and their sins could do such a thing. I think this is going to be a love it or hate it deal. I think it looks really cool though. And just in case you were a little worried about being forced into another robe, there is an option to wear just pants instead. If you want to ditch the robe as a clothy, it looks like most of the Covenants will be giving you that option, so no need to worry. Leather is up next, and I must say, those shoulder pads are humongous. That's crazy, and a little disappointing because you can already tell that all of the cloaks will clip through them quite badly. You don't even get to see a good chunk of the gargoyle head back piece here, but the leather set itself looks very cool. I can imagine players taking off the helm and shoulders and just strutting around in their shiny black and red suit. I would have expected the blades to fit the set quite a bit better, and I think they do, but the handles clipping through the shoulders is very distracting. Maybe this set will look better on a race that has smaller shoulder pads though, so pretty much anything except Orc or Human, or Tauren, or male Draenei, but the rest of you should be safe. The gold, red and black colour scheme works very well, and there's no doubt whoever is wearing this armour is in league with the vampires of Revendreth. And then the Sin Stone just holds its own. I think this might be the go-to choice for a lot of players just because of how unique it is, but also how well it fits most of the sets. And if you work your way through the Venthyr storyline, you'll learn just how important these stones are. And I assume the Covenant itself will place a high value on these items. It just gives it more of an impactful feeling. Up next is the Venthyr Mail. Wow. I mean, what else is there to say? Talk about tombstones. Not only do you have the option of the Sin Stone later as a back piece, but there's tombstones on your shoulders and a tombstone on your waist as well. If you told me we get a set with tombstones as shoulders, I probably wouldn't have thought it would look that good, but they did a great job with it. The huge bat head for a helm piece also looks fantastic, and it's very fitting, seeing as this is the male set. If you're a hunter, you'll have to get yourself a bat pet to go along with this set. The Gargoyle Cloak doesn't doesn't fit super well, but I think we all know which one will fit best. Let's check out the blades first though, just to give you all the options. I think coupled with the same gold and red on the lower half of the set, the blades actually fit quite well. They certainly don't look super out of place, and having them float menacingly behind you is always going to be cool. I can't help but feel like the helm and shoulders don't match the colour scheme of the set quite right though. And I know you are all waiting for it, the tombstone set with the tombstone itself. That might be a bit too much tombstone for your liking, but at least you have the option of the other two cloaks if you feel like carrying around a sinstone on your back is a bit too much. It matches the chains around your shoulders very well though, so this one is going to be a tough choice. And last but by no means least, the Venthia plate set. This is another one that just made me say wow, those shoulders might be some of the best shoulders I've seen in this game. The idea is just executed so well. Mini gargoyles on your shoulder pads. Kudos to whoever came up with the idea, and a massive kudos to the art team for making it happen in such an awesome way. The rest of the set looks great too, and it actually kind of matches some of the gargoyle armor. You'll see quite a bit of that in the Revendreth Stone when you level through it. The colours are great, the theme is great, it's just a fantastic set of armour. The gargoyle backpiece doesn't look super magical, but it doesn't look out of place either. The blades match in all of the same places as the other sets. The red and gold of the handles really pull it together with the rest of the set, though I'm starting to wonder how many people will actually run around with their Venthia blades out. They are cool, but they do make things a bit busier than I personally like. The tombstones match the gargoyles perfectly, and who better to carry around a solid block of stone than the plate wearers? I think this actually might be my favourite plate set so far, which is really hard because I was expecting to level my paladin as a Kyrian. I'm not sure if I'll get around to a Death Knight or warrior, but for some reason this set just screams paladin to me, like the Blood Knights of Silvermoon. That's such a perfect fit. I might have to find another class to join the Winged Legions of Bastion and just have a Venthia paladin, we'll see. This expansion is going to be so hard when it comes to making choices, but that tells me that for the first time in a long time, those choices are actually going to matter. The Venthia do have access to a few different tints, but we only have previews of them on the male set so far, so bear with me on that one. I'll pop them up on screen for you to look at nevertheless. Hopefully you can imagine what some of the other sets look like with the different colour schemes. That all dark one is going to be a favourite for the darker classes like Warlock and Death Knight, no doubt. The other two are interesting and nice to have, but I think the red and gold set and the red and black set are definitely my favourites here. And that's all of the different armor sets that we have to preview for the Covenant in the Shadowlands Alpha so far. Bear in mind that all of this is a work in progress. Anything could change by the time this goes live, and we are still early days. We also don't know how to get our hands on these sets and how restrictive they are, so just keep your eyes out for more info about Covenants as the Alpha progresses. If an update comes through on the Alpha, you can be guaranteed I'll have a video up talking about it to keep you all in the loop. What do you think of these sets from what we've seen so far? Will the armor sets and other cosmetics be a large factor in your choice of Covenant, and if so, which Covenant are you currently leaning towards? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. If you want to explore the alpha alongside us, you can join us live over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and our subscribers on Twitch. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.